there's something that we mentioned recently about the You Will See is the kind of the series that I called it. And what we were talking about hope, right? And if you guys remember, hope is an expectation, right? And an expectation not to get something. If you read loose translations of the end of Romans 8, okay? The end of Romans 8, if you want to throw the verse up there, you can. The end of Romans 8 is that we do not hope for what we see. It's we hope for what we don't yet see. We expect what we don't yet see. So our expectation as believers is what? That we will see. That's why the series is called You Will See. Because that's the expectation for every believer. Every believer should have in their heart, if you're growing in the knowledge of the Lord, if you do not continue in the knowledge of the Lord, then this is not applicable to you. This is not applicable just to somebody just because they're watching this message. There are so many people that don't continue in the knowledge of the Lord. They don't continue in the Word of God. They hear it, and they're happy for a while to hear it, and then they get distracted, and they start prioritizing other things. That's not applicable to any of those. This is only for those who through faith and patience, that's faith and continuance in what they've learned. And this is something that every person has to acknowledge in their life. I know that we have people that are, adults, and then we got some young adults in here as well. This is applicable to everybody. Everybody makes their own individual choice. Like, we can't ride on our parents' faith. We can't ride because my parents bring me to church. You know what I think sometimes? This is a side note. If your parents, I would think about this when I was younger too. If my parents didn't bring me to church, if they didn't drag you to church, would I still prioritize the Lord? And would I still continue in the Word of God? That's a choice you have to make, not your parents. You have to make that choice and say, I'm going to continue in the Word of God because it's important to me, because God loved me. God didn't love my parents. God loved my parents and me. And Jesus demonstrated that to me. And God has something in store for me. So it's my choice between me and the Lord to continue. But nevertheless, continuance in the faith is what's important. And if you continue in the Word of God, there's fruit to be had, right? In the parable of the seed and the sower. Through faith and patience, they bear fruit. And the You Will See aspect of that in Romans 8, it says if we hope for that we see not, in Romans 8:25. If we hope for that we see not, then we do with patience wait for it. In loose translations of that, in the New Living, in the NIV, which we don't recommend any of those translations, it'll say that we hope for what we don't have. No. It said see, because you have it. He just got done speaking in Romans 8 that you have it. What you don't have for that, in that sense, for lack of a better word, is that manifestation of it. But he says we wait for that manifestation of it because that is a progressive thing that Jesus even told Martha, I believe it was, that if you believe, you will see the glory of God, right? And I just want to make mention of another point with this. If you would never see the glory of God, and if we have no hope of a manifestation, then your faith is useless. If you have no hope, if we as believers expect that you will go through your life and live just like everybody else, your faith is useless. The whole point of faith in Romans 11 is that it gives evidence to the things that are not seen, right? That's not the definition of faith in Hebrews 11. That's the utility of faith. That's what faith does. It gives evidence to the things that are not seen. It brings into substance the things that you hope for. What do you hope for? The manifestation. So let's say it like that. It brings into substance, tangibility, the manifestation that you're waiting for. Faith does that. Can you put that up there? I believe it's verse 1, Hebrews 11, verse 1. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. That's the point of faith. That's what faith does. So if God is telling you that's the whole point of believing me, that's the whole point of believing me, is because I have something in store for you that's living on the inside of you, and I want that manifest in your life so you don't have to live like the Gentiles live. So you don't have to walk like a natural man. If that's the whole point, and we don't expect to see anything in our life, like so many Christians don't expect anything different in their life. They don't expect the miraculous power of God. They don't expect to see the dead raised. They don't expect to see the sick healed. They don't expect they don't expect to age the way that Jesus ages in immortality. They don't expect any of that. And again, you don't receive because you expect. I'm not saying that you receive based on how much you expect. No, you receive based on how much you know Jesus. But if you don't have an expectation, if you just expect to get what everybody else gets, then what's the point of believing the Lord to begin with? The only reason why we're believing the Lord is because it calls us to walk in the things that are ours. The whole point of believing the Lord is, the Lord says here, is because it brings into substance. It says faith is the substance of things hoped for. It means substance there. Substance doesn't always mean, like Pastor Zay was teaching on the word substance recently, and he said it meant the body. So this word substance is a little bit different. But this word substance is referring to tangibility. It makes tangible what you hope for. What do you hope for? You hope that in other words, you wait. You expect to see the glory of God manifest in your life. And this faith will bring that into substance for you. Knowing the Lord is not just a useless thing. When you know the Lord and you make that choice to know God for yourself, it's so that you don't walk like everybody else walks because you know God has better for you. God has already given that better, provided it through Jesus, and if you're a believer, it lives on the inside of you. But faith, for a believer, makes substance that expectation. It actually will bring it into substance. That's why in the last day when Jesus comes back, all things will be made substance. Why? Because we'll see him as he is, 1 John says. You don't have to bring that up, but we'll see him as he is. But if you learn Jesus right now, faith brings into substance the things that you hope for. What else does it do? It gives evidence to the things that are not seen. That's what faith does. That is not the definition of faith. Don't read that in a loose translation either. King James, this is a good translation. Young's Literal is a good translation. Read a word-for-word translation. But that's what faith does. Faith brings into substance the things that you hope for. It makes evident the things that are not seen. So if you don't expect that there's anything being produced in you as you're believing the Lord, then what's the point of believing the Lord then? That's the only point that he's saying of believing the Lord, is that because it does something for you and it makes the kingdom of God inside of you substantive, if that's a word. It makes it tangible so that you can see these things work out in your life. Now, don't go about measuring how much you know of God based on how much you're actually detecting of the power of God working through you. Because God's power works through you all the time in ways that you don't even realize, ways that you don't even know. God has protected you from things that you don't even know. I was thinking the other day about how, when I was a baby, my parents, I was very little, my parents obviously had me in a car seat when they'd bring me in the car, and they would typically obviously put me in the back seat. And this one particular day, Pastor Jose took me and put me in the front seat. And I know you're not supposed to do that, so I don't recommend that. But this was back in the day, and this is probably fresh off the thing where seatbelts were actually a thing. We were just watching a movie yesterday, and they weren't even wearing those seatbelts from like the 80s. Anyway, Pastor Jose put me in the front seat, and that particular day, a car or a truck, I forget what it was, came and T-boned him, essentially, and a truck pushed the back door, boom, right into the car. And I'm just using an example. I'm just saying, though, that the Lord protects you and the power of God works in ways that's detectable, but some things are not detectable. So the power of God is working in you because, why? Because God says so. If we're not looking to the Lord for truth, then what are we looking to the Lord for? If he tells you, hey, as you believe, you're seeing the glory of God, and as you believe, you're transformed from glory to glory, then just take him for his word and say, yeah, the power of God is working in me. And it's not manifesting perfectly in every single area, so I continue to know the Lord. But that's the point of faith, is so that you'll see the glory of God, and it will give evidence. And I just want to give you an example of this. And a good example of people, it's symbolic, okay, so this is just a symbolic thing in the Bible, but this is what it's symbolic of. Talking about people that don't believe that they can see the glory of God in their life. I mean, you realize, right? Like, God has these things for you, right? Like, the Bible prophesies about the day that we live in, that your sons and your daughters would prophesy, that they would dream dreams, that they would see visions, that they would, like, you realize, right? This is the day we live in. Moses wanted to live in the day you live in. Moses said, I wish that all the Lord's people were prophets. Because back in the day, he was the prophet to speak to the people for God. And he said, I wish there was a day where everybody was prophets. And it's the Holy Spirit on the inside of you that gives you that. You can walk in the supernatural power of God and to expect that you're just not going to see that. Again, what's the point of faith? What's the point of believing God to begin with? That's why you're believing God, is because there is something to see in your life. Not just because it's in you, because God wants you to see it in your life. There is no point in believing God if you don't really expect that there's any manifestation to come of that. There's no point in believing God. No point whatsoever. We're not here because we're your local church and you come in here to get a pat in the back and encouragement before you walk out the door and face your week again. We're here because God gave us something that can become tangible in your life and manifest physically through your mouth and through your hands and through your body. That God can manifest these things, and in your mind, God has something for you. Jesus died to give it to you. So are we going to disgrace the work of Jesus by watering down the gospel so much where we don't expect anything supernatural in our life and we just walk around like mere men? And actually that word mere is not even there in that verse. God has something for you, and there's fruit to be seen. There is fruit to be seen out of what Jesus gave you. Jesus didn't just give you these spiritual things to sit in you spiritually. Again, we are not here to pat you on the back and to just encourage you so that you can go on and live your life the way that everybody else lives. You can see the sick healed. You can see the dead raised. That's not a hard thing. It's your lot. This is who you are. That's who you are. If somebody gets sick and you just feel like, oh, well, they're sick, what is the point of believing? What the heck is the point of believing if when someone gets sick, we just expect like, oh, it runs the course the way that everybody else, goes through it? It doesn't make any sense. There's a point to believing God. Again, let's not disgrace the finished work of Jesus. Like, I don't care if you disgrace me, but when you disgrace the work of Jesus, you realize what you're disgracing, right? That's the Son of God that came and died for you and bled for you to get this to you, and you want to live life the way that everybody else lives? What did he die for then? What are you believing him for then? So you don't go to hell one day? Jesus didn't even come to save you from that directly. He came to give you physical or spiritual blessings that manifest physically. That's what Jesus came to give you. He took a physical body on to fix your physical problems. Again, we said this last time too. If we don't expect that all the things that God has done for us are for the physical, why did he take on flesh then? You realize your problems that Jesus took on was in his own body on the tree. In his own body. It's for your body. That's why Jesus died. It's for your life. It's for the physical things in your life. If he was come to take on some spiritual curse, he wouldn't have to take on flesh. Jesus didn't come to take your spiritual curse. He came to take on that curse that affected us physically, that caused us to walk like the rest of the world walks. And Jesus had something better for you. He's given you something better. And you will see the glory of God if you remain steadfast in your faith. If you remain, and faith is what I'm talking about, is the knowledge of Jesus, getting to know Jesus. And there are people that will see the land. This is what I was referring to symbolically before. There are people that will see the land. This is not me, mind you. This is not me. But there are people, and we all have to make our individual choice to not be this person. Because I'm not just going to make a blanket statement and say, oh, that's none of us here. I don't know. That's up to you. You realize that, right? That is up to you. I just addressed the young people before, and I really felt led to just recently just to speak to the young people. Like, this could be you if you want it to be, and it could not be you if you don't want it to be. That's your choice. That's not my choice. That's your choice. That's not your parents' choice. That's your choice. If your parents are dragging you to church every day, then check where your mind's at and say, you know what, Lord? You died for me. I want this for me. I don't want this because my parents told me. I want this for me. But that's everybody's choice. And there are people that look at the land and look at the fruit of the land and taste of the fruit of the land and say, no, we can't take it, though. We can't take it, though. Why? Because of fortresses. In the Bible, fortresses are defined as imaginations, things that are built up that are contrary to the knowledge of Jesus. Blockages in your mind, essentially. The Bible also calls it like a beam in your eye. A beam in your eye or a fortress in your eye. Your eye's referring to your mind. And it says, oh, no, we can't take it. And why? It was because of fortresses. Because the giants, which I won't get into the definition of the word giants there, which I believe is talking about like demonic powers, I believe. Because what they're doing on this earth is they're fortifying their doctrine in people's minds. But to not get too deep into this, there are people that say they see the land, they taste of the land, they hear the land being preached to them, the land that God provided you, and they taste of that fruit, but then they say, no, we can't take it. But there are some people, that's me too, because I can speak for me. You can speak for you. I'm going to speak for me. Everybody can leave here, and it still applies to me. And you can say the same thing for yourself if you know that's where you're at. But for me, I'm going to be like the Joshua that says, no, of course we can take it. He actually says, if we do what pleases God, we'll take it. You know what pleases God, right? You know what that's symbolic of, right? That's talking about faith. That's talking about knowledge of Jesus. And if we do what pleases God, we'll take this. And by take it, what am I referring to? I'm referring to not the fact that it's not on the inside of you. I'm referring to the manifestation of it. That we'd walk in these things. And if you believe the glory of God, you'll take it. And you'll experience that fruit. And you'll see prophecy. And you'll see miracles. And you'll see the works of power. And you'll see the signs. And you'll see the wonders. If you don't continue in the Word of God, you will not. You will not see it. You will not go there. And again, that's a choice you have to make for yourself. You have to say, Lord, I see the land, but guess what? Lots of people see the land. Lots of people see the land. Lots of people taste the fruit. Even in the parable of the seed and the sower, it's a perfect example of this. It says there's a lot of people that don't bear fruit to maturity. They start in the Word of God, they receive it with joy, they taste it, but because of the cares of this life, or because people make fun of them due to the gospel, or for whatever the reason, deceitfulness of riches, they don't continue in the Word of God. So they taste the fruit, but they stop believing at some point, and they just fall away. And again, that's a personal choice. That's nobody else's choice. But if you believe the Lord, and I believe that's I'm assuming all of us in here, if you believe the Lord, and if you've learned the things that Jesus has given you, continue in that. Continue steadfast in the faith. Keep listening to Jesus every day. That's your choice. I'm not saying that the Lord is not the one that teaches you. It's not your choice to know the truth, but it is your choice to listen. It is your choice to acknowledge the Lord so that he can teach you the truth. I can't know the truth for myself. I don't know the truth for myself. When I started spending time with the Lord, I told the Lord, I don't know. So you have to tell me. These things are too high for my physical mind, so I don't know. You have to tell me. But for starters, if you want to start getting to know the Lord, you got a Bible, you got a good translation Bible, go sit in your room and crack that thing open. And don't expect the Bible's going to teach you. But say, Lord, I want to know you. So crack a Bible open and start reading and have the Lord start teaching you stuff. Anybody can do that. Anybody can listen to the Lord because it doesn't require you to know the truth. It just requires you to open your mind to the Lord and say, Lord, I'm going to acknowledge you. That's our choice. That's our choice. You can choose where your life goes. Not directly, because the Holy Spirit that bears the fruit. So not directly, but you choose. You choose. That's nobody else's choice. Everybody can proclaim what they believe your destiny is over you. You choose that. You know why? Because God says you can choose life. I've put life in front of you, and you get to choose whether you want it or not. That's no one else's choice. That's not the choice of anybody else. No one can tell you that you can't live and live in the abundance that God gave you. Nobody can tell you that. Nobody can tell you that. If you were locked up in a cell somewhere, in prison somewhere, in solitary confinement, you can listen to the Lord there, and the Lord can speak to you there, and God can cause you to live in the abundance that he's provided you. Nobody can take that away from you, because that's your choice. Because all it requires is your head. That's all it requires. It doesn't require you to be anything special. In fact, if you were something special, Jesus wouldn't be applicable to you. Jesus came to save people that can't. So if you can't know the Lord for yourself, then welcome to the club, and Jesus is perfect for you then. I'm telling you, you can't know the truth. But you can listen to the Lord. That's your choice. That is your choice every single day. And if you forget, you know what you do? You think, I never forget to listen to the Lord. So you forget and you listen again. You do it again. You're listening to take advantage of these things. You're listening because you want to walk in these things, and you're listening because you want to know who you are in Christ now. That's why you're listening. There's fruit to be had from the things that God has given us. And it's not hard. And you will see the glory of God if you believe the Lord. But stick to your guns and don't let anybody tell you that you can't have the land, that you can't walk in it. That's your choice. Because all the giants in the world can build up fortifications, which are just imaginations, and tell you, oh, no, you can't take it, you can't take it, you can't take it, you can't take it, you can't take it. Be like the Joshua and say, no, I can. Because if I do what pleases the Lord, he'll lead us into the land. He'll cause me to eat of this fruit. That's my possession. The Lord gave me that. Jesus died to give me that. And he qualified me for that. I'm qualified for that because he cleansed me of my sin and of all unrighteousness and made me righteous, as clean as he is, as clean as I am. And I got a clean conscience, therefore. There's no guilt and there's no condemnation anymore, and I'm qualified for this land. And Jesus died to give it to me, and it's already mine. It's on the inside of me. And I'm going to eat the stored corn of the land. I'm going to eat that because it's mine. It's already who I am. Remember, we're not waiting for it to become who we are. It is who we are. That's the gift from Jesus. It's not because you're so great. It's because Jesus did such a great job, and it made you so great. It made you so great. That's the value that God put on us, to send his son so we can have these things and walk in the power that he has and walk in the wisdom that he has. And that's all of our lot. Like I said, there's nobody that can tell you that you can't take that because that's yours. Somebody bled for that. Somebody bled for that. So whenever it tries to convince you of living a life where your expectation is the same as the world, what about Jesus? What was he dying for then? Why did he take all my pains on the cross? Why did he take all this suffering on the cross? if he meant me to do this. So I want to just share one more thing. I know we're so close right now, but just share one last thing. This is the kind of stuff that's what I would say. That what about Jesus phrase, that's what the Lord brought to my mind when I had people telling me, basically all the teachers that I was listening to were telling me about Christian persecutions and telling me basically that like it's just a Christian's lot. Jesus has not redeemed you from suffering persecutions. And that's what people were telling me, and I was very confused, very, very confused. And you know, I remember driving to church one day in kind of the midst of that confusion, which obviously I don't have that confusion anymore. Thank God, he's taught me now. But I said, what about Jesus though? What about Jesus? What about Jesus? What about Jesus? What about that suffering that he took for me? What's the point of him suffering if I have to suffer too? And he didn't really take my suffering then. And Jesus took all that at the cross for all of us. He's our Savior, and you can walk in that salvation.
reforminus.com